Good morning, traders. Welcome to the Traders Lab. I'm your host, Tom B. Thanks for visiting the lab today. Could I please get a screen and audio check in YouTube in the Bookmap Discord Trader Lab community? Thanks, Marty. How we doing in YouTube? Thanks, Nikos. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Traders Lab. I'm your host, Tom B. Thanks for stopping by today. This stream is about integrating Bookmap order flow tools with auction market theory using a volume profile in the intraday developing time frame. The key to this stream is understanding how the market works, why it does what it does, and how at times you might get in alignment with it. In addition, the Trader Lab is a group of like-minded traders who have come together with various experiences and methodologies in order to leverage our collective experience. The idea is to build a business in trading. It's not a video game. It is very much a business. And if you can understand how the market works and approach it as a business endeavor versus just a video game, where you're just rolling the dice, there is a big difference between gamblers and those who are actually playing a gaming business. The business of trading is a statistically based business. It is not a predictive business. And where many traders, I think, go, especially retail traders, not professional, but retail traders go in the wrong direction, potentially, and I would say potentially because I'm sure there's an exception, I just haven't met them. And I've been doing this going on 45 years. So it doesn't mean that somebody can't do it with indicators and time frames and a mix. I'm sure somebody can. I have not met them. Anyone who's been able to sustain a career with that approach. So maybe it works for you, but for most retail traders, that is not a recipe for longevity. So maybe we can take what we learn and try to reverse engineer it and see maybe what doesn't work, and then understand why it might not work. It's not so much what works, what doesn't work. Everything works sometimes. That's the dilemma for us. It's what doesn't work consistently. And the thing that gets us, I think, and what my experience was, is seeing things work and then spending a lot of time, how about a number of years, trying to fix it to make it better. Because of the randomness, it would work. So I always thought early on that I was on the right track and I just had to make it better. Isn't that what you think at times, or have thought, if you're not still doing that process? What I didn't understand is that my process was not in alignment with the business model. So a successful business model that we can emulate, or at least build on top of, is gaming or Las Vegas and how they work. And the way they work is they don't make it up. They only use structured games that have a statistical edge. They don't know the outcome of anything as far as the next hand, how the gamblers play, how the cards come out of the deck, and they do pay the gamblers. They experience it, though, as cost of production and overhead. We experience it like a personal failure. We are attached to the outcome. We're also stimulated fight and flight, and basically it's our emotional wiring and survival instincts that interfere with our intentionality. All these elements are covered and are worked on collectively in the Bookmap Discord Trader Lab community. And there is no cost, by the way, to be part of that community. And so what I'm going to do today is I am, hold on one second. Right. So if you haven't verified your Discord, I guess your email and your registration, be sure to do that in order to continually have access to these streams. One moment, please. Okay, let's take care of business. Whoops, sorry about that, guys. Juggling a few things here. General disclosure, all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice or recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Please remember, this is not a trade calling room. This is for educational purposes only. And what I do here, this stream is based on structured trades that are available to everyone in the Bookmap Discord Trader Lab. There's a link in the bottom of YouTube if you're interested in those. You can download them and reverse engineer them. Make them part of a vetted structured trade plan. And the idea of Trader Lab is to only operate with a trade plan. If we can accept that the market is random, just like the cards come out of the deck in any game in the casinos, if we accept randomness and uncertainty, then we can build something potentially to get an alignment that gives us a statistical edge. And that's really the basis of trading. Now let's go into something else. I want to show you something. And, yesterday we kind of sold near the high of the day. And I always say, I can't pick the high of the day. And that's absolutely true. I have no clue where the high of the day is. But we never know where it might be, but we can have structured trades. And if it happens to turn out in hindsight to be the high of the day, it's not because we're picking the high of the day. It's just because of randomness. So I want to show you something from this morning. Now, this is something I posted, and I just want you to see what it is. Let me just see what I have here. Market is short. Now, this is posted at, 7:49 a.m. Central Time, okay? Market is short, so potential squeeze, and then be aware of mean reversion to the overnight volume point of control. And of course, none of these things are recommendations, but it is a potential behavior to anticipate if it develops. Mean reversions means outside in or rotational trading, not necessarily directional trading initially. Okay. We have a naked volume point of control above, which I will show you. And we are currently seeing more selling where I read it. Again, the short was against the 75 area. Look at Bookmap to see it. It is not a rec. I recommend you develop excellence in reading Bookmap. And then I mentioned where you can get that. Bruce Pringle, our head educator, he does specifically streams that you can watch on order flow. And there's also a lot of understanding of the tools in Bookmap if you don't understand how they work. Absorption, what the bubbles represent, the delta, etc., and a lot more. Okay. So I wanted to mention that too. Now I'm going to show you what set up this trade. And I'm going to focus, like I do, on market mechanics. Now, something else that's very basic, and it seems obvious, but many of us get very myopic and short-term oriented. Write this down. The market goes up to go down. The market goes down to go up. Now, you're going to say, really? I don't need to hear that. Well, you do need to understand it. You don't need to hear it. And the reason for this is whenever the market gets lopsided, one side or the other, and after yesterday the market is short, we can anticipate a couple of things. Well, first thing we're going to anticipate is rotational trade, but the market will find additional sellers. So we're looking for the additional sellers. Then if those sellers get caught, then those sellers from this morning and then the sellers from yesterday, the buy stops can get triggered, and that can create upside move. Now, we don't know how that'll manifest itself. I'm just saying. But that is how the market works. Now, let's take a look. This is from, and I highlight this so you can see it. Right here, we have buying, 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 buying. Okay, it's coming up. All right, what do we know? And these levels are not here. None of this is over here. This is the overnight midpoint, and somewhere around here is the overnight volume point of control. Can somebody post that? Okay, I think I found it. 54.71.75. So this is the overnight volume point of control. It's basically right here. Now, what a point of control is high volume. And I don't think it was there at the time. It might have been here. I can't get back and look at the minutia, but this is like a retail price in ETH. It's like where the high volume is. So this right here, this is order flow now. Market's coming up, 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 up. All right. So what do I see? I see a buyer. I see absorption. I see more buyers going to the moon. Buyer, buyer, buyer. So right here, where's it going? This, by the way, is a target up above. It's called the naked volume point of control. We'll come back to it later, but it is a target. So I'm looking at this. This is possible. But so I'm just watching order flow. This is what I do. So what I'm doing is I'm thinking about where's the outside. And of course, part of the joy of all this is who knows where it is. So let's go take a look. So here I have my buyers. Now this is order flow and this is delta. Stops are coming out. Oh, it's a wonderful thing. So, and this is ETH. I'm just going to show you this. Then I'm going to take you to RTH. And this is exactly what I did yesterday. And you saw the first trade yesterday was a couple ticks off what turned out to be the high of the day, which is not material to the trade. You know, we all know where the high of the day is in hindsight. As the market develops, we are clueless. At least I am. If you're not, come to Trader Lab. So let's look here. Buyers here. Now nothing. Sellers take over. I mark the following structures, and this is going to be micro, and you'll see why it might mean something or might not. Right here is volume, right there above the arrow, right there in the middle of it. That is where the volume took place. This is what I call a micro consolidation. Certainly not actionable, no clue, except we break away from it. Now, and you could see what this is, a micro consolidation. Very important. Now you're going to see this all over the place as I get rolling. Here, we get more volume, and there's more volume here than there is there. What that is saying is the buyers and sellers who interacted right in this little range at a couple ticks did not spend time there. There was interaction and buy delta, which is also buy stops. We left it. Now, if I start the same process here, then, and it still is too high, and I leave it, what I'm seeing in the microstructure is too high, too high. Now watch. This is a pullback. Now in the ETH, I narrated this, and I don't call trades, I just point out things to observe. This is a short. Now let's just watch, okay? Now look at the behavior. Micro too high, right there. Break, selling trigger in Trader Lab, pullback to where? There, right there. Why? Up above, too high. This has more volume and it's rejected. Think of this like shopping. If this is too high and the buyers and sellers in this microstructure will not pay it, they leave. I'm out of here. I'm not giving, forget it. We're not doing business here. Let's do business here. Too expensive? Hasta la vista, baby. Short. I narrated this. Now I'm just going to show you, and there's the test. There's absorption right here, and there it sets up. So this sets up a short. Stop is over here. This sets, if you didn't get it in there because you're like me, you're in the headlights sometimes, there's absorption. And that's in Bookmap, we have absorption detector. So you could see it right there. And there's a selling iceberg. He's a little covered up here at the moment. Maybe I can get him. I don't know if I can move this, but there's an iceberg here. That's the absorber. Okay. So we have a seller, we have the absorption, we have the buy delta. See you later. Thanks for playing. And now this, and watch the behavior. Watch the behavior. See the behavior? This is a triggering structure using order flow microstructure. Now there's a little more going on, but let's just see it. And the target was to come down here. But let's look. See it? Microstructure targeting, your stop is here, you would not have been picked off. This is just a trade. I'm just pointing it out. But here's what's important. Here's what set it up. And that's a trigger. And then we were going for this. And I narrated this during the ETH, just saying, not important. So let's now go on. Let's go now to the open, the RTH. So these levels are here, and there was behavior in the ETH right here. Let's look. Now, I posted in the Trader Lab, which neither here nor there because I can't predict anything. It's not my job. If you think the business is not prediction, this is not a predictive business. It's a maybe business. So I posted, and I already showed that to you at the top of the stream, looking for mean reversion outside in trading. So at 8:30 Central Time, my time, market opens. So let's look at the potential trade. RTH open. Where's my level? It's right here. Right here, last time I rotated up to this level, there was a seller, absorption. I've got 946 selling icebergs taking the other side of any upside rotation at this time. And I did post mean reversion. Let's look. Now, this was the first trade. And again, it has to be part of your trade plan. What do we see? Does this look familiar? There's sellers here absorbing the buyers. I get my downside rotation. I get my RTH open. Who knows? Where do I come? Buyers are here. What do I get? Selling icebergs. Selling icebergs. I come up here again. What do I see? Absorption. These guys are taking the other side of the trade. Sellers here. Microstructure there. And this is a short. So there's another short. There's more, but I think you'll get the idea. This is called VPOC migration. Now, I have a number of structured trades here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. These are all available to all of you, and there's no cost in the Bookmap Discord Trader Lab community. There's a link in the bottom of YouTube if you've been following this stream. Now, the fact is, if you don't understand what's going on, it's okay. This is not plug and play, and this is not indicators. This is understanding market mechanics. It's a different way to view the market and operate, combining order flow with a high-tier tool like Bookmap and understanding how the market works, not predicting how it works, understanding how it works. And then, like everything else in trading, the best you got is maybe. This is called VPOC migration. I'm going to label this. That's the yellow line. The volume point of control is in the developing daily time frame. And these become important because it's operating in a fractal. When I'm narrating the microstructure, this like this here, this is the same thing, except it's a higher time frame. You guys think of time frames, I don't. For me, it's called fractals because the behavior is participant-based, not based on a clock. I'm not trying to fit something in a rigid structure. I found that I need to be able to understand this. And if I can understand this and understand what happened previously, then I might be able to anticipate to participate, not predict. So that's kind of how I look at this thing. So hold on a second here. I might have the wrong level here. Let me just make sure. I'm just going to try to get this in the ballpark. There you go. Now, this is the volume point of control. It shifts down. What that says in a developing time frame, now I'm talking multiple time frame. The way I think of multiple time frame besides fractals is Russian dolls. In other words, they're inside of each other. That's what a fractal is, right? So it's not like 5 minutes happens or 10 minutes, immaterial for me. Because what is that? Who cares, right? I'm not being rigid. I'm being fluid, and it helps me stay in alignment with what's happening right now. So let's continue. This, we open it, RTH open is back here. This shifts up, and this is developing. What this is tracking is as it's developing this high volume, wherever it migrates to, this will migrate to. And it's very sensitive on the open. So right here, if I open RTH open and it, it's here, it shifts up here. If I break away from it, it is the same thing as when this was too high in a fractal, this little micro high volume, break away, test it, we're out of here. This is the same thing, higher time frame. If we break below this, it is saying that's too high and we know in the microstructure that is too high. We break, we pull back. Where? Mid VWAP. Okay, now what? Well, we know a couple of things here. We have yesterday's low, and what was really juicy is the ETH low and the gap that to fill the gap. So this is the target coming down. So we have yesterday's low, and in my mind, and in the ETH, we got to the gap, but not in the RTH. So this gap is still open for me. And then let's watch. So coming back, sorry guys, let me just get back. So we break below, we test. This is a structured trade in the Bookmap Discord Trader Lab here. This is a short here. These are all structured trades. You have to vet these. These are not trade recommendations. VPOC migration. This now is the new retail price. This is our resistance. These are not trade recommendations. You can learn this pullback here going for south of the border. So we were short, short, short. The first part of this was to get, now let's look at this. So we come down, we see absorption. Now, the overnight low is our target. What do we know? This is too high. This is too high right here. We break low. As soon as we cross above this, it sets up something called mean reversion. What this is directional movement. When you cross above, what I'm discussing is the context at this time is down. Okay? When you open higher, if you, other than getting a short squeeze, if there's no continuation buying, it sets up the continuation of the trend at the time, which is down. That's why it sets up something called mean reversion, which is open higher and then rotation and continue down or whatever. You know, we can't, who knows? You know, part of the joy. So what happens here is, now remember, we have this, and there's more targets down below. I'm going to show them to you. And I posted this in the Bookmap Discord Trader Lab all before the open, and I told everybody, and I suggest you got to understand how the market works. This is a target coming down, 31, and this is a target here, 20, whatever it is, 27.5 or something, 26.5. So these are targets, and it's not predictive. Remember, they're areas or levels that were created by participant behavior. The auction is about participant behavior. It's not indicator based. Nothing's crossing over to say buy, sell. No. It's why do we have a level that's meaningful or material? It's because of what happened there. And it's not just because there was a rotation. It's more based on volume and behavior. In fact, it is, because this is what the market actually runs on. So too high, cross here, too high. What we need to see happen here is the same thing you see here. Hold on, something's making, I got an alarm going off. Yeah. 1 second, guys. Gotta. By the way, if you have questions, please post them in YouTube and I will come up for auction. I can't see them while I'm narrating over here. Okay, sorry about that. So this was too high, variable high volume node. I made these up. This is retail. So what happens here is if I come above here, which I can do, I have to be very cautious. I can come and squeeze out the mid, the VWAP, and this was too high. I am looking for something called mean reversion trading. So I'm still trading outside in towards statistics. And there's a high probability, past performance, not indicative of future results we're going to get here. So for me, I have no longs at this point. I have trade management and I have shorts only, just saying. And again, you have to understand your trade, my trade, it's not what I do. It's what speaks to you and you knowing where your trade shows up, not what will happen, part of the joy. So here we cross over. This makes the teeth chatter. But I know this is too high. Now, when this happens, in my mind, because I am fearful. Oh, really? Yes. Why am I fearful? Because of all the times in the past I've gotten taken out at the mid and the VWAP. What does my mind remember? The times in the past. But here's the thing in trading. We are not trading the past, essentially how we feel. I'm talking emotional states. And we're not projecting into the future what will happen. Oh, in the future, I will get stopped out here because I've gotten stopped out in the past. I'm not living in the past. I'm not living in the future. I'm living in the present. I'm trading in the present. Just like the casinos, I'm playing the current hand. I'm not playing the last hand where the gamblers walked out with a suitcase of cash, and I'm not projecting the future that I'm going to lose the house is going to lose $100,000 on the next hand. I'm here now. So I have to discipline myself in spite of what's going on in my head. What's going on in my head is wiring, primal wiring, not the business. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. And if you've been trading, you do know what I'm talking about. So we come under here, come back and test too high. So I have this, and this is resistance here. This is where the stops are, right? I come down here. Right here, I see absorption. Now, I'm not clairvoyant, still working on it. Actually, not working on it. When I come back across here, I know this. Remember, when I came across here, I was thinking we were going to come here, right? What do I do here? This time I come across, and what happens? I get my stops taken out. But what else do I know? This is too high. Let's look right here. What is this? Chop, chop. I get my buyers. I have my buy stops coming up. I see 16 stops. Well, look at this. And then I see 5. This is the stop and iceberg detector. I see iceberg. I say, oh, that's nice. I see buyers here, and I see what I call stop divergence. And I always like to say, this is the only thing I use from indicator world. Divergence. Why? Who are the buyers here? Do we have longs here, or do we have shorts getting squeezed out? Delta shows us buyers, okay? So buyers, buyers, buyers. Now we know there's buyers and sellers everywhere. I filtered the delta because I only want to see meaningful events. And I see, so the buy stops coming up, only 7, 9, 2, 3. What is this? Higher price, less of something. If I don't get initiative buyers above here, and if I stay below here, which was too high, I can then look for continuation shorts, and it's called mean reversion. So what this sets up here, now here's the thing with this. Right here, this sets up a short, okay? Now, and I get the rotation here. Now, I could not execute this. I'm just showing you the order flow. So this says everything here. I get my break, and this is the target. So I looked at this. I said, I can't trade this. I need something better. Or, you know, I couldn't do this one. And of course, part of me says, oh, it's going to zero, you know. I pull back here. Now, right here, I'm looking at this, and this is retail. What's too low? And I do have targets down below still, so I'm thinking I got to get short somewhere. Okay, I took a short here. I'm using this. I'm saying, well, this was too high. I come back. I'm coming back from under here, and I'm looking for a continuation trade. I took a short. Actually in here, put my stop here. I figured the stops were already taken up here, and I took a stop. Okay. Life in the fast lane. What are you going to do? Now, where do I come? What is this? Too high. What do I see? Other than I dust myself off and have a few words, you know, to the trading whoever it is. I'm seeing two-sided trade again. So I'm going, okay, outside in, and it's called mean reversion. I'm looking for a short here. I see the sellers. I come up to my location. Why is this a good location? Maybe last time we were here, it was too high. So I come up and I'm watching. I have my I see my buyers, 121 buy stops, 35, 28, going to the moon, except this. Now, by the way, this is a level also. So let's look at this level, because why wouldn't I just take a short here, you say? Oh, I'm going to say, yeah, I get you. So I'm looking at this. I see buyers here, sellers here. They got pushed through. I pull back. The buyers come back in. There's my buyers. There's my buyer. Now, I'm not at a location here, so I'm just sort of hanging out. I'm above the VWAP in the mid. I got nothing to do here. So I see the buyer. I see my sellers take a shot here. My sellers are underwater here, and my sellers are underwater here. Giving you order flow. I see my sellers here. This is delta. Now, the thing to understand about this is you guys understand delta is market orders, whether it's a stop or an initiator. The other part to delta is if I see aggressors and they don't go anywhere, what that tells me is they're being absorbed by the passive side. In other words, the limit order book. When we get on, I don't know until I see the behavior. Then I go, oh, they were absorbed. Just telling you, that's the way, at least the way it is for me. I got my buyers above here. This is pretty good. This is now support. Why? Sellers were here. They got run over. If we pull back and we hold this, it suggests potentially underlying higher. So let's watch. Buyers, sellers are here. Buyers, sellers were here. Buyers, sellers were here. Buyers, sellers are there. Location. Watch. I see the buyer. I see the seller. I'm going, okay, this is a location right here. I get above the seller. No bueno. Look at the difference. Watch. Buyers above. No shortateria. Sellers here. They're taking a shot. A little rotation down. I'm watching this area. Buyers above. Sellers were here. Run over. Thanks for playing. Now what? Buyers here. Sellers here. Buyers are here. Support. What do I see here? Absorption. Absorption. Selling iceberg. Probably it looks like it's about 700. So that's meaningful. Now what, you ask? Here's what. Watch. Location, location, location. Right? Watch. Now, I like this. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't like taking stops, but everything else I like. If this trade is going to work, this becomes my target. And its structure is called mean reversion. So let's see what happens. Now, there's going to be stops potentially under here, here, and then wherever, you know. So let's watch. And then it's trade management. So I have the change in behavior. I'm going to take you now back into micro, and I'm going to come up for air here in a little bit. So I have my absorption. There's my buyers. I have nothing here. I'm at my location. I have my microstructure. I'm going to put a line on here. It's a very interesting day, by the way, because and in the Trader Lab, this is called context. So what happens during the day or as the market does its thing, we can go from one type of trading to a different kind. In other words, right now, this is rotational trading. And you might just get long and hang out, you know. Somebody else might be short and take a snooze. As a day trader, my job is to attempt, subject to my skills and my plan, to try underline to get in alignment. And then I take my stops when I'm wrong, 713 stops. So this, you can see there's 100. So this is significant. This is how stop an iceberg can help you. These are how the tools and order flow, absorption. So right here, I got a suspect and location. Remember, all the pieces have to be in alignment. Right here, I get my break. This volume, these buyers are trapped. They were absorbed. I have no buyer above here. I have my trigger. I have my pullback. This sets up a short. Stop goes here. Then the goal is to get risk neutral and then manage the trade based on a minimum 2-lot configuration. Notice the retracement. Can you guys do this? Can you learn this? So here's how you do this. Subject to your timeliness your ability to execute, if you're skilled, you'd be short here. Stop is here. If you get a retracement, what do we know? Sellers were here. Sellers were here. We broke away from this volume. If I return and I get my buyers here and they can't push through these guys that the sellers interacted with, so the absorption, it's also a short. Now, nobody sells this. I mean, I at times will put a limit order here and just put my stop like 2 ticks above this and, say la guerre, but it's palatable for me. Let's assume you got in at 71.5 and you're at 73, or 73 quarter. I can handle that. Can you? On a 2 lot, if you're wrong, you take a stop and, you get a bandage. This is the scale. Remember? Why? Stops. And the potential is for mechanical buyers, retail traders. And remember, the gamblers get paid. Everybody gets paid sometimes. So that's why this is a scale. Now, this is now a variable high volume node. I'm not going to stay in this too long. I'm just showing you structure and putting all these pieces together. And you can learn this in the Bookmap Discord Trader Lab community if you find it interesting, And again, I don't use any indicators. What is this? So we know what this is, right? What is this? What is this? What happened there? Let's get into the fractal. Here's what we know. This is too high. There's my trigger. I come back. Too high. What is this? Absorption. Buyers took a shot here, here, and here. They were absorbed. There's your iceberg again. Sellers activate here. Where's my micro high volume structure? I'm going to draw another little line. This is fractal trading. And all I'm doing is I'm reading order flow and volume in alignment. Here's the volume and the structure. So here, this is too high. These guys are absorbed. It's the same as that, but it happens here. Your shorts here, your shorts here, and you have another short right here, or trade management opportunity here. And so what I'm saying, so remember, to here. Now, this is here. It was too high. This is here. So I have a compound process here, and I have my high volume structure now here. I'm putting pieces together, fractals. Think Russian dolls. Where do I come? I come here. So you're protecting here, or you're taking another short here if you can operate in this. Maybe not. Watch. Variable high volume node. Back to VWAP. This is a variable high volume node. This is a structured trade in Trader Lab. If you have enough range, you might not. What is this? High volume again. You can lean against the volume. You got the VWAP in the mid. These are all structured trades. And it's two-sided. Let's look at where we come. Variable high volume node, right here. What is that? Does this look familiar to what we had here? Let me try to put this together if I can. So this was the short, right? This was against here. At the time, this was not here. It shifted up. We broke below it. We come back to here, right? Watch. Down we go. So this is another short. We break. This is here. It shifts up here. So let's watch this. I break. I think I'm in the right spot. I've got volume here. I break. This shifts up right here. If this is too high, we will reject it. It shifts down. Too high. I'm going to label it again. What I use these for is indications of developing value. And remember, the purpose of the market is it's an auction. And what is it trying to do? What's this thing worth? I don't know. Well, let's see where we check pricing. We come back here. This is a short if you have a way into it. Let me show you the structure. Location, remember real estate. I come up here. Now this is advanced and you have to have really competence to do this. So let's assume none of us do. But if you are in Trader Lab, you would understand what this is. You might not be able to activate on it. What is going on here? Buyers. And what do I see? 18 stops, 4 stops, and I have delta. Now, if I don't get buying above here, and I don't know, right here is micro volume. It's in alignment there, and I have microstructure there, which represents this little volume. I'm going to draw a little line in here again. The lines, I draw them so you can see, once you understand how it works, and in fact, I posted in the Trader Lab today, if you want to learn how to do this, at least one way to do it, this is how I did it, is you put a bunch of, oops, wrong line. I'm just gonna put this over here. Actually, I'm gonna throw it here for a moment. You annotate a whole bunch of these behaviors. This is strictly triggering and order flow structures. This is not the structured trades. This is one piece. This is for me how I trigger, and you would then annotate the heck out of this. Then you go and do replays, and don't concern yourself with the actual structured trades. Concern yourself with reading order flow, because the order flow is where the rubber meets the road as far as triggers at locations. So location right here is absorption. No way to know unless you're trained. Seller is here. This is too high. I pull back to it. Where's my buyer? I don't see a buyer. Do you? I get my seller again under here. This is a short. Your stop is here. And this is the key. There's another piece. We also have another trade in here, which I'm not getting into, but it's called VWAP to VPOC, and it's a separate piece. So we have multiple, and I think it's here. No, that's the mid. I'm sorry. So we have this based on the auction to here. You have to execute on a timely basis. Might not be your trade. And what do we have open? We have opportunity open below. What is this? Microstructure. What is this? Structure. Trader Lab structured trading. This is Trader Lab. I'm going to try to get through this because everything turned around and the boat went the other way. Now, I did point out we have targets below. We have this. So this would be a target, and you can manage your trade, do whatever you want to do. This is all individually crafted. Let's look. This is too high. This is too high. I have buyers here. The sellers take them on, and we'll see you later. Thanks for visiting. Buyers come in here. What happens here? Now, I don't know anything as far as what will happen. Here's what I know what did happen. My sellers are in control here. I've got nothing going on here. My sellers are in here. And now I see my buyers, and it's like, oh, right here, I have iceberg here. I'm seeing absorption, buy stops, and this is stop divergence. You remember that. Stop an iceberg detector helps you see this. Microstructure is here. I get my seller. So this was absorbed, and fine. Nothing to do about it. I come down here. Now, ETH low has a high probability in this context so far. I see my buyers. Now, I have to ask myself, is this the low of the day because I see buyers here? And 574 sell stops coming out, thanks for playing. And I see buy icebergs. Is this the low of the day? Two choices. I can manage my trade based on this absorption. This is now support in a short time frame. If I get all might be happening here is short covering, not. So this could be, these buyers might be, because this is it's our target in the Trader Lab also. It's not the low of the day target. It's the time to take some dough off the table if you're in this trade. And we break below it. Let's watch now. Watch the behavior now. We test this. Where was the absorption? Here. And what happened here? Look. Sellers were in control here. There's nothing going on. You can be trailing. It's all up to your plan. This is important. This right here was the last place the buyers were active. We have another target. I will show it to you. Now, we're still hanging in with this, and this is a function of time frame. Where do I come back? I'm coming now back to the overnight low, and this is where this behavior took place. If you're below this behavior, and this is more advanced, this is in the Trader Lab also, but you don't, it's kind of like you walk before you run. If you're going to understand methodology and combine processes, this is resistance now. We come up, there's your resistance, here's here, and there's no precision in this. Wish it was. Most of us wish there was precision. Doesn't exist. Let's look at what happens. Here, no idea. Sellers, buyers are here, sellers are here. I see sellers here. So these buyers are getting absorbed. The buyers consumed the passive side. So I know buyers are still in control. Here, nada. I get my seller below. This buyer now was absorbed and he is on the hook. Now, what happens here is key. Do the buyers come above here or do the sellers take control? Right here, I'm below the seller. This is good for a short. This guy was absorbed. He's got a problem. So this, now I have a buyer. This sets up another potential short, and let's see what happens. Now that's microstructure. By the way, this is another target. This is called a single, and these are posted on the chart. And this was all posted in Trader Lab prior to the open. Now, I don't know where the market's going. I want to make this perfectly clear. No skills in the sense of picking high-low. I've never tried to do it because I've never been able to do it. So I leave that to others who have that gift. I personally don't have it, and I actually don't know anybody who does. There's a lot of heroes in hindsight, but everybody picks the high and the low. I can sell the high by the low, and it's completely by accident because one thing has nothing to do with the other. So, yesterday I sold a few ticks off the high. Today I sold a few ticks off the first opening high, and it has nothing to do with anything. So, and it's only because I take trades and then they work or they fail. There's nothing more than that. So let's look what's going on here. Now I'm looking at this. I'm seeing 1,000 icebergs. See the sellers? There's absorption coming in. I'm coming down. 2,000 icebergs. They're absorbing. I see some sellers here. Okay, selling iceberg. I see buying, 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 buying. You see the absorption? 849 stops coming out. It's the end of the planet. I see more iceberg buying and more sell stops. My antenna goes up when I see large icebergs because the icebergs need, if you've got thousands of orders that you want to do, you want to execute, you really need sellers, right? So you can become the buyer. The sellers are these stops. Here's 1,000 stops, gee whiz, 849 stops. Boom. Okay, buying iceberg. So I'm seeing this. And now here, so I don't know. I'm completely clueless. So the way I operate is I just trail, because I can't predict anything. And I'm going to come up for oxygen here in a minute. And if you have your questions, be sure they're posted. I'll do my best to answer them in the time we have, specific to this stream as far as what we're discussing here. So the sellers are in control. Buyers are absorbing the sellers. That's what I'm seeing. And I'm telling you, my teeth chatter when I see this. All in here, buyers are absorbing. That's the icebergs. So iceberg, stop an iceberg detector is giving me a heads up. And basically all it's telling me is warning Will Robinson moment. Now I have a target here, 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 and 0. Could go anywhere, right? So that's not part of the business of trading as far as where will it go. It's always where might it go. So these sellers here are being absorbed. I see my buyer above these sellers. Now, right here, it's very tenuous because my buyers, I'm seeing my buyers. Now, my sellers are in control here. So right here is really resistance. I see my sellers again. These guys were absorbed by the sellers. I see more sellers going to zero, Lewis. So here's what I know. Buyers are here. Sellers are here. Buyers were active here. So I got a buyer here and I got a seller here. And it looks like a buyer, but why is it a seller? They were absorbed. So it's a seller. And I don't know what happens till after. So I see my sellers. Okay. So let's look at what happened. Sellers are above here. Buyers are under here. And there's the buyer absorbing the seller. So this is now like a little sandbox, or it's a consolidation. And what you have is two sides. And you know what happens in consolidations? It's kind of like a standoff, you know. So I know this is like a sandbox of compression, and it's going to break one way or the other. Now I have a target, so my antenna is very, very, very tuned in right here. And I don't predict. I cannot do it. So all I figured out for me was I can recognize behavior, which is always the best a suspect. Now I see the sellers here. I'm going, okay, we're going lower right here. And I hit my target there because I have my sellers below this buyer. I'm in minutia. So right here, I'm thinking, okay, going lower, Lewis. What do? I come down here, sellers. I see a buyer here. I see a stop sweep here. Now that's very important. I see the sweep, more sell stops. I have buyers again. Now I'm assuming at the sweep that there's urgency. If I don't get below the sweep, I see my buyers here and the sellers take a shot. Right here, I need continuation. Well, who wins this one? The buyers. So right here, right there is support in order flow. And I'm looking for what? Continuation down. That is the quote, hope. What do I see? Change in behavior. The trade now is over. And if you're guarding the trade here or wherever, you know, or even up here, all subject to your personal plan, that trade's over. Is everybody with me? I'm going to come up for air. I'm now going to jump into, I'm going to skip a lot of other structured trades that took place, longs, and I'm going to go into real time. Oh, here's another target on the upside. Look at that. Who knows? Actually, maybe I should take you guys back to some longs. Actually, I will, because these are structured trades. There's a lot of trades, guys, subject to your plan. I'm going to show you some of these. Let me look up for questions. Thanks for your patience. How are we doing in YouTube, guys? Please give a thumb up if you're visiting the Trader Lab and you find this interesting, useful. Also, there's a link in the bottom of YouTube if you're interested in visiting the Bookmap Discord Trader Lab community. It's a free 24-hour, 7-day chat. I'm active in there during the trading session when my time allows, when I'm not actively trading or I've got a trade on and I'm just managing it. I'm not a good multitasker, but I follow a structured trade process. So for me, it's the focus for triggering and getting risk neutral, hopefully, and then manage the trade. And I trade, and it's just my personal plan. I am not a scalper, but I use microstructure for triggering. So all trades start out in a way like scalping because it's the trigger is a microstructure. But then the targeting for me becomes larger. I'm going to take these. Let me just think what we're going to do here. Hold on a second. I got to make some adjustments. I want to eliminate some stuff here. Okay. These little lines, I'm going to turn them off for a moment. Hold on. Just lost the chats. 1 second. Okay, sorry guys. So I'm going to show you a couple structured trades. I know the market's all over the place today. So once we come across, now I have no clue, what happens for me is I tend to get on a trade, and then if it gets taken out, I'm not quick to reverse because I have no idea here if we're just going to come up and then continue down to the next target. When we cross over and I come back here, I'm then looking to see the behavior. So I know this is retail. This was too high. This was too high. Variable high volume nodes. So right in here, I'm looking at it. And we have something else that sets up at 9:30 Central Time. We have something called the IB stat, the initial balance. And the IB stat, there's the first hour's high, which was made at the open, and the first hour's low. And there's over a 90% probability we'll take one of them out during the RTH session. About a 30% probability we'll take them both out. Considering the market's short and we went down and hit our one of our targets, which in hindsight turns out to be the current low of the day, no way to know, and the behavior is changing, then the shorts, remember at the top of the stream, we had a rotation up, got what's called responsive buying. In other words, those who are short who got squeezed. We got new sellers, went down, got new shorts in. We come back up. We're going to squeeze the new shorts and possibly the continuing shorts that are in here from yesterday. That's why I always say the market goes up to go down, the market goes down to go up. And while we can't predict any of this, we can suspect. And I would say in the Trader Lab, it's trade plans. And the thing that we're trying to anticipate is context and recognize when it changes. It's a hard thing to do because we don't know that something has changed until hindsight. So there is no way to predict, it's only maybe. So, and remember, our next target was 22.5, not a recommendation. Remember where that came from. I know I've just looked over and I see the high, right? 54.90 is a target. Target. Same as below, remember? Target. Now, that doesn't mean it's the high of the day. If I'm long, I'm going for here. I'm going for here. Just saying, not recommendations. So let's come back to where we are. So now I'm going to show you the next trades. We break above the volume point of control. That sets up a couple possibilities. Remember, 75 was important. At 75, and this is the high. What's above the high? Stops. Do you feel lucky, as Dirty Harry would say? This is not a trade I can take. A short can't take it. Why? Where's the stops? Above the high. What is this? This is a high probability target. This is what's called the naked volume point of control. This is yesterday's retail price. It operates the same as this, and it operates the same as the microstructure. This is the highest volume from yesterday. Remember, volume profile. What's it all about? The market checks prices. It's like what's too high, what's too low, and it does it in all fractals and time frames. Well, this was the highest volume from yesterday. If we found too low, then we have the possibility to do the following. Take out the opening swing high because the market's short. Remember, market goes up to go down, goes down to go up. So this was our short from the open, remember? These are those lines, and I showed you this from 7, I don't know what time it was this morning, can't remember, but they were here, and this is where our shorts were. I come back to it, what do you see? You see another potential short. What do you also know? Opening swing high. No, thank you. Thanks for playing. What do we anticipate? A squeeze. That's what we anticipate. This is a target. So let's watch. So for me, now there's a couple other things here. when, assuming I take this out, we have what's called the IB continuation trade. And it's a structured trade in TraderLab. So I see my selling here, and I'm going, oh, that's interesting. Isn't that what you say? I know this microstructure, which is where the short was at the open this morning, right, is too high. But I know I got stops right here above this, so I cannot get short. I want to get long. How do I do that? It's called the structured trade. Where is it? Right here. And it's called the IB continuation trade. So we break high and we pull back. What am I pulling back to? What was resistance, old saying in trading, becomes support. Let's look. I have my buyers. I have sellers. 1,600 sell icebergs here. Buy stops, iceberg. So right here, I know these guys were absorbed and my sellers are activated here. And it's this guy. Okay. And remember, how do icebergs tend to operate? They need the liquidity. And if you get buyers, buy stops, often what you're going to see is them take the other side. Doesn't mean it's the high of anything. It just means they need liquidity, and buy stops, market orders, they can be on the other side. That's what's going on right here. So this sets up a microstructure and a trigger for a long continuation trade. I'm going to show you. Now I already got my level. So I get my buying, I see my absorption. I pull back, here's my sellers, here's my level, here's my location, and here's my support structure now. All of this is support. Pull back, look at the structure. Microstructure is right there. There's your long, there. You could be scaling here and in the trader, and look at the selling here. 4,000 icebergs. This is material. So what do I know? This was the retail price from yesterday's RTH. I have my long here, the IB continuation trade. I have a target here, and if I break above it and pull back and test it, it is another long in TraderLab. Again, you have to vet these, and these are not trade recommendations. Target. And this is a target. Potential target. Watch. What was this? Buyers took over. They are absorbed. Buyers are here. Sellers, these guys basically failed. And this is our another target, 5505. This is a level from also yesterday, very important level. So this. Now we break, we pull back. What might be support? This. Why? Same reason this might be too high is the same reason this might be too low. And we have structure here, microstructure, high volume. Watch. Where do we come? Here. No clue. By the way, no precision either. It's there. There. There's your microstructure, high volume, break high, test of the structure, break high, targeting area, pull back, ready to, lose your breakfast. Where do we pull back? Notice where the volume is. It's right there. There's sellers. They are absorbed. Buyers take over. It's either an add, a long, or a place to protect. Totally up to you, or not. What your plan is. Let's watch the behavior. Breakthrough. Where's my next target? This. This is trading in fractals, guys. Hope you're finding this useful. And now look at your questions. Thanks for your patience. How are you guys doing? How are we doing in YouTube? Please give a thumb up in YouTube if you're finding this an enjoyable, pleasant experience. If you're learning something. Here's the thing. By the way, yesterday's high. Anybody have a hint of what might be at yesterday's high? Do you think there might be some stops at yesterday's high? Perhaps. These are potential targets above, not recommendations. I will tell you, for me, I don't know the high, low, anything. Just not my thing. I trade to targets. What I do, and I'm just talking about me, I'm not recommending anything here because it's your job. And if you come to Trader Lab, you're going to go to work. You're not going to be passive if you want to develop a career. You're going to have to roll your sleeves up and decide if what you're doing now is not giving you a positive result, and it will give you intermittent winning trades. I can tell you now, you could throw a dart at the board or flip a coin, you will have winning trades. And just like me, except for me, I started in 1980. I thought indicators were kind of a new thing. Before that, it was classical bar charting. That's what I learned at the CME, which is measured moves. So I grew up thinking trading was predicting, right? Oh, it's going to go here, it's going to do that, all that kind of thing. Well, not so much. But because of think of a head and shoulders. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Oh, well, it works sometimes. I got to tell you, anything works sometimes. So we think it's the right thing because we see this random behavior. But if we don't understand the probability of it working over a large sample size, and if we can get a yield out of it, we may be pressing on a button that has no edge, but instead has randomness. The difference between being in the business of trading, in my opinion, notice, now this is not a short. What is it? A target. Now, if I'm using order flow for trade management, what do I see? Let's look. I had a buyer here. They were absorbed. 646 stops. Thanks for playing. I do not fade this unless I'm using short-term rotations. And I'm not saying what I do. I'm saying, what do you do? If I see the order flow and I see the buyers absorbed here, I have microstructure here, the sellers take over here. What is resistance, you ask? Let's look. Now, it's not a short. It is a curiosity we can observe together. What happened here? I'm going to put a little line. And I was posting in the Trader Lab that traders schedule regular practice sessions. First of all, you have to learn to read order flow, and there's a wealth of education in the Trader Lab and in the Bookmap server. So you would know right here, because here's a sweep, here's absorption, and typically what we often see after sweeps is the market will have a rotation or a behavior, let's say. And what do I see here? So I had buyers here. Those are stops. I have a sweep. I have some selling icebergs. That's nice. I have no buyers here. And what do I have here? A seller. That sets up the downward rotation. That's all this is. So, and I'm just showing you how to read a rotation. How do I use this? Now I'm going to say I'm going to say how might somebody use it? Trade management or nothing. Because maybe you're managing from a different area, like down here where the sellers got absorbed by the buyers. Maybe your stop's out here and you're going for the moon, or you're more fractally oriented and you see this and it gives you a short. There was no sell until here, and now you exit your long because you're, over here. Which is it? See what I'm saying? Which is it? Now, for me, where do I think we're going? And when I say think, let me tell you what it means. Where might we be going? Stops. Where's the fuel? Write that down, guys. Where's the fuel? Please give a thumb up in YouTube. By the way, if you are interested in the Bookmap Discord Trader Lab chat, it is like a portal to additional education, and all this is available at no cost. Stocks, options, crypto, order flow with a high tier tool like Bookmap. swing trading, algorithmic behavior, market maker behavior, options, etc. And of course, the Trader Lab and a host of other streamers and methodologies. What I have found for me, and this is just what I resonates with for me, is I don't use any indicators. I found indicators, like everything, have a place. But if you don't understand the context of the market, you will be selling every counter rotation. You need to understand the condition of the market. Then you align whatever tools. The other part, the reason I don't use indicators, and it's not that I'm not a fan, I'll tell you what I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of developing retail traders, learning how the market works so they can deploy tools, not thinking that the indicator is the tool, because the indicator has no concept or ability to define context. Sure, we can put a moving average, or draw a line. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything to me. What I found is I don't want anything lagging, and I don't want conflict. When I used indicators, and I built trading systems, so I went, did a deep dive in derivative processes, I created conflict and thrashing. So it was very hard for me, after spending years doing that, to remove those things and force myself to change my method, because I kept waking up with what I call Trader Groundhog Day. In other words, I get excited, I see something, and I'd tweak and tune, and then it would work good, or I'd look back over the last month or whatever and see all the big moves, and then go forward with it and catch a couple big moves, but over the sample size of the losing trades in it didn't have an edge. So what appears to be workable doesn't have a statistical edge. The casinos don't operate that way, and they do really well. Notice what happened here. Notice where we pulled back. Not saying anything more than that. What do we know about this? Too high, too high, too high, break above, pull back, too low, buyers. What happens here? Sellers. What happens here? They get pushed out. Where's resistance? Microstructure right here. Sellers here. Buyers here. If I clear this, I go north. If I can't clear this, I rotate down. That's order flow. So now I'm going to watch, because I know these sellers got absorbed by the buyers, and I got my stops above. Can I use this for something? Not saying what you should use it for. Can you develop an understanding of what is happening in the order flow and couple that with microstructure? Microstructure, this is too high. Right there. Let's watch. If I get above here, I continue. If I can't get above this micro high volume and this guy here, I rotate. That's what I know. Let's come back down here. Let's watch. Remember, too high, microstructure. And it's not a short. We're reading order flow and context together. And what was too low? Here. Sellers got absorbed here. Now you see seller. There's a buyer absorbing these sellers. Buyers are here, buyers are here, buyers are here, sellers are stuck here. So we want to watch this, and this is where the buyers got absorbed by the sellers. You can see it, can't you, right? I'm going to put a little line. Now, I want to show you this because it's how I narrate the market, not predict, narrate. So I can say, by understanding what's going on, this is a support area. Here, this volume in here, and this is a resistance. And I'm only within a couple points. I can read it. If I'm looking to trade, I know also what happened out here. I know what's going on in this fractal. I have my volume here. The buyers took control. This was resistance. This is now support. This potentially is support. This is resistance. This is support. This is resistance. Are we going north or south? Isn't that an interesting question? Where's my next target? It's the high of the day. Are we going to get there? Clueless. Not my job. Resistance, support. Are you guys tracking? hearing this. The bells I hear in my head, I'm not, sometimes you don't know. What's the saying? Bats in the belfry. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that. I turned it off. That alert is not on the streaming, this computer. It's on my trading platform. I set alerts, custom note, all this. These are like long-term levels. These are, I mark developing levels in here so I can clear them all off at the end of the day. And then these stay. Notice the behavior, guys. Can you use order flow to understand not what will happen, but where it might happen? Then what you can do with it is saying, well, I know what's here. I know what's there. What's it going to do? We don't have that answer. How about this one? What might it do? It might hit resistance here, and it might find support here. If we break under here, then we can come back down here to this volume. I'm going to put a little line in there. Now, what's also important, this is a target, and I got yesterday's high. Nothing says that we won't counter rotate, right? Okay. Are you guys tracking? You getting something out of this? Thumb up in YouTube, please. Stock, yeah, sorry about that. No, I'm not going to do that. And I don't respond to BS or any of that. If that's what you're going to be doing, do it someplace else. That's not how Trader Lab operates. So we have our microstructure here. We have our support here. You can kind of see how the order flow gives you guidance. Now let's remember, support is here, and this was our outside edge. There's another piece to this too. This is a low volume zone. And here's what this is called. In a fractal, what you have is rotations, right? This is the high volume. This is the micro high volume. You can be operating any way you want with this. This is your resistance. This is your support. When you could actually manage the trade using these structures, what you need to be doing is understand what it represents. And then the other part of that is there are some traders who are going to have their stop out here. There's other traders who are going to micromanage, and this is where it has to align with you psychologically. Outside, this is an outside edge also. So it could come anywhere. I don't know. But here's what I do know. The volume is here, right there. If I come outside, it is setting up a process called mean reversion. That would be outside in trading. So what we did is we are directional, and then in a shorter time frame, we can become rotational. So if we think the trend might be up, who knows? We may never take out yesterday's high. It's not our job. We know the following. This is too high. And if we come outside somewhere, part of the joy, and we know this was support previously, and this, we can, and I don't know where it'll come out. This is part of the joy. We can now come back to there. So and this is hard. Mean reversion trading is hard. And what's hard about mean reversion is where's the outside? And it's a specific plan in a plan. So if you think currently the shorts are vulnerable and we get a counter rotation, which is normal because of the harmonic in the ES, if we come outside and we find buyers absorb the sell stops, then we might look for a long, and we have to get scaled right there, high volume node. So this has no range, and it's also very dangerous. So where was the stops? Right under here, and there's more stops under here. So that's the joy of mean reversion. Are you guys with me? How we doing in YouTube, guys? Hope you're getting something out of this. This is trading in fractals using order flow, auction market theory, and the volume profile in the intraday developing time frame. It's based on market mechanics and the business of trading. There's no crystal ball. We had a magic 8-ball. I love to tell the story. We had a magic 8-ball on the trade desk. We were managing money. And, you sit there and you're going, what the heck, right? Because that's what it is. What the heck? Why? Uncertain at all times and random. So we'd ask the magic 8-ball. And I'll tell you, magic 8-ball did as well as anybody else. Back when I was managing dollars, it was swing trading, so, and trend following. So we'd put things on and, keep them on for a while. Short-term trading was 2 to 3 day swings in the S&P for me. So S&P, I think, premiered, it might have been 1982 or something. So when it first came out, it was $500 a point. So that was a little, that'll twist your, So, so I started trading that. Also, to put it in perspective, the Dow would have a 30-point move in a day. So everything's relative, right? But when the volatility picked up, it got really, really difficult for many traders to trade. So we're looking for outside edge, remember. And the way I think of outside edges, I look at the profile because, and this is the hard part, this is called the low volume node. This is outside. So the market, and this is, again, what's difficult. Where's the outside? Is it there? Is it here? So right here is low volume. What low volume is, and this is all market profile, volume profile stuff, and this is support too. Let's try to put this together. So you see we had the sellers here. They got overwhelmed by the buyers. And there's this little node sticking out. That's micro high volume. The low volume is out in here somewhere. Now it is there, but the problem with mean reversion, it's my least favorite condition because I take more stops in mean reversion than I do, just in regular cruising around. Is this where you get long? See? Is this where you get long? See? Where? That's the problem. So where's the swings? So what you have to do with this is look left. Write this down. Mean reversion takes a tremendous amount of patience, and you got to be willing to pay to play. I know this was where the sellers got trapped here. I know this is an outside edge. I know there are stops under here. And this was, remember, this was resistance. It's now support. So I have some locations, okay? And I know this is an important level. I have multiple levels. So if I'm going to try to get long, and this is not easy, I'm going to be looking for the stops. Retail traders, write this down. Think like a retail trader. Don't act like one. Retail traders keep their stops under swings. They micromanage. We understand that, right? So, and because we do it. And, but I know the sellers were absorbed here, and I know the sellers were absorbed here. I should say the buyers absorbed the sellers. That's what I meant to say. So there's a swing here, and there's going to be stops. There's a swing here. There's going to be stops. This is micro high volume. You can see it right there. And this is towards an outside edge. So this is volume. These guys were absorbed. If you get long, you're only trying to get back to here. So there's no range. So for me, if I'm sitting here and this thing blasts off, I don't have a trade. But I can read and will read the structure. By the way, this right here, this volume, this is called mean reversion. So you have this to this to this, and if it comes up, this is your obstacle. If I cross over, then it sets up that and that. Let's watch it the last few minutes we have together. And if you're interested in this, and guys, it is not about what I do. We all have to find our groove. In other words, there are some traders who are going to be fading this or looking to buy this to come back here. What is your trade plan? That's the job of a professional trader, to wait for their trade. In other words, you'll recognize your bus when it shows up. We're not making it up, but we are narrating. You can learn to read the market. Now, what do you do with it? That's up to you, and that's what we work on in Trader Lab. The Trader Lab is a community of like-minded traders. It's about the business of trading. This is not about playing a video game, and it is not romper room. It's a professional community. And if that's what you're interested in, you can click the link in the bottom of YouTube. There's no cost to be part of the Trader Lab community. It's about the business. If you're interested in career building, and of course, past performance is not indicative of future results, you can, in my opinion, acquire the tools. But then it's up to you to invest in yourself. Roll your sleeves up. And it doesn't matter how long you've been trading. If you've been trading, you've got experience. One thing about it is, we all have done the same things one way or the other. If it's not working, it might not be realistic to think that just tuning and tweaking is going to make it work. It's random. If you understand randomness, then you have to build a process that will work in randomness. You see the behavior? This is your absorption. There's your break high. This is resistance. Watch the microstructure. It's right there. So you have support here in the microstructure. You have resistance here. If you're in Trader Lab, you would understand that. If you bought the pullback, you got to scale here. Can you do that? And then you're managing your trade because the sellers got absorbed here and here. This is your support. You break high, resistance. You pull back. This is your support. You now manage the trade. What's this? Resistance. That's it. Life in the fast lane. Then if you clear this and this, then we can go towards yesterday's high. If we can't get above resistance, then c'est la guerre. On to the next trade. Please give a thumb up in YouTube. Click the link in the bottom of YouTube if you want to visit the Trader Lab community. There is no cost. There's a library of webinars in there available exclusively to Bookmap Discord Trader Lab participants. It goes over this process. You can, I'm not a vendor. There's no course, there's none of that. There is a course available, of course, if you want to learn trading. There's loads of information, and especially to understand and learn order flow. Where does the rubber meet the road? It's where the participants interact. And the better you are to develop an understanding of what's happening right here, the better you might be able to interact. The order flow in combination with volume profile, using Bookmap and all the tools. And Bookmap is an innovator. And the other thing I want to say about Bookmap, I don't know any other firm that invests in its traders like Bookmap does, offering you streams, and there's no cost. The idea is if you're successful, everybody succeeds together. And that is the theme of the Trader Lab. Hope you got something out of this. Click the link in the bottom of YouTube. Leave a thumb up if you found some value in this. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Remember, these streams are available exclusively to Bookmap Discord Trader Lab participants. To look at, reverse engineer. This is what the PDFs look like. These are actual trades, real time, and some, screenshots. Here's some examples of order flow. These are actual trades, And the idea was, I'm not a vendor. These were done in 2020. And some of the same trades you see here, these are broad strokes, but they can give you an idea. And you can take these and reverse engineer and visit the Trader Lab so you can understand and leverage the collective experience of the Trader Lab. And also come to Trader Lab and ask the participants, how has this helped them in their journey in building a career in the business of trading? And of course, everybody's mileage may vary. Past performance is never indicative of future results. You still got to do the work. And but I think if you're willing to do the work and you're interested in the business of trading, that maybe you can move your journey forward. Thanks for visiting the Trader Lab. Please give the thumb up. I look forward to seeing you soon.